African Christian Democratic Party is the latest to join the multi-party charter. The coalition of several political parties was officially launched in August this year in an attempt to unseat the governing ANC in next year's elections. Let's get some reaction now. On behalf of the coalition, I'm joined by Athol Trollip, who is the ActionSA Eastern Cape chairperson. Athol, thanks for your time this afternoon. How significant is this intention by the ACDP to join the multi-party charter?
Look, I think it's just very encouraging, and we were concerned that the ACDP hadn't come on board earlier on. Reverend Kenneth Meshwe had indicated that he had concerns about how the then Moonshot Pact announcement had been made and that it was pretty unilaterally made. But since then, there have been months and months and months of discussions and debates and weekly meetings. We had a formalization of the multi-party charter in Kempton Park about a month ago. So we're very happy that the ACDP has come on board, because we as ActionSA have been concerned that there weren't enough political parties to give us the critical mass to take us past the magical figure of 50% plus one. So ACDP joining is a step in the right direction, and we've extended invitations to other political parties too, and we'll continue to do that, because they say a missed opportunity is an abiding sorrow, and it would be really an abiding sorrow if we didn't mobilize as many parties as possible to come together to bring about a political change in this country.
Okay, so this does increase the signatories of the pre-election agreement to, I don't know, about 8 or so parties, but that is still far from the numbers you need to topple the ANC. You're still far from that 50% mark.
Well, who knows, Clement, who knows? There are millions of South Africans. In fact, 53% of all registered voters did not vote in the last election. So who knows what the political parties will get in the next election. ActionSA is also a new political party. We're not a small party, and we're the dark horse in this election. No one really knows what we're going to do. So I think as we gradually get more parties to join us, we will get closer to that magical threshold of 50% plus one. And we believe in ActionSA that we'll be able to mobilize a large swathe of those people that are registered but aren't voting, because we don't come with any political baggage. We don't have the kind of history that other parties have got to overcome. And we're a melting pot of South Africans that have come together because we've had enough of the current political dispensation, and also the really woeful governance of the ANC. So, South Africans are really tired of the ANC, and I think this election is going to be a watershed election. The ANC are going to shed a lot of support, and we as ActionSA and other participating parties in this multi-party charter are going to take a large chunk of that support.
So for this to work, you don't only need this commitment of additional parties, but you're going to need the DA and even the other parties to have the best election results ever in 2024. Are you that convinced that not only as ActionSA, as the first-timers in contesting the national elections, are you confident that just ActionSA, you'll get a lot of votes, but also the DA and the other parties that have contested elections before will be able to get this significant increase in support so that you get to that 50% plus one?
Yeah, look, Clement, I think that one of the biggest challenges is that in a multi-party pact or pre-electoral pact like we put together here, is that each of the component parts must bring the maximum support from their constituency. So the ACDP brings a very specific constituency, and we will be counting on them to mobilize their constituency. The IFP brings a constituency, the DA has a constituency, and ActionSA is building a formidable constituency across the country in all 9 provinces. So we believe that for this multi-party charter to work and be effective, that the sum of the parts must be great, the sum of the whole must be greater than the parts. And I think that there is enthusiasm amongst the voters that there is cooperation between political parties. I think for too long there's been too much criticizing and finger-pointing at each other. And for any kind of coalition or multi-party charter to work, you need to have maturity, you need to have leaders that can put their egos aside and start leading and stop pointing fingers. And I think we're moving in the right direction. It's difficult. But I think one of the real important parts of this charter is that each individual party retains its identity, and that it's up to them to bring as many votes as possible to this charter to get us past the 50% mark.
This could also be easy. You bring in the EFF on the table, that increases your chances. As the multi-party charter, are you still against the EFF being invited to join in?
Look, what we've done at the agreement was that we were going to open the invitation to all political parties, and if other partners in the multi-party charter make recommendations about a particular party, it will serve before all the participating parties, and we'll debate the merits of whether we will accept a certain party or not. So I don't say that the doors are closed. I don't think in politics it's very smart to ever close doors. And the doors are not closed, but we would have to all agree to any political party that might be controversial joining us. But there is a provision in our multi-party charter that will happen.
Yeah. And which other parties are you still engaging? The UDM? Who else do you still have hope they could still reconsider and come join?
Well, we've cast the invitation open, Clement. Let me leave it there. We've written to political parties. We've said the door is still open, and we're very encouraged that the ACDP has come on board post the signing of the multi-party charter, which means that parties understand that the invitation is open. But like any joining any membership or any cooperation or charter, all the participating parties would have to agree. And, it comes down to negotiation and making concessions and meeting each other, sitting around the table and being mutually respectful to each other to come up with a formula that will give South Africans hope that we can have a new government post-2024.
All right. Athol Trollip, thank you so much for joining us for this chat this afternoon.